you guys have a great whale fest every year. I think it's in March. That is becoming very large, and I know this year I think John Hargrove went. I think last year Samantha Berg and Ingrid Visser, Naomi Rose went. It seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. We've got an event here called SuperPod 4. It's kind of the same age as Whale Fest, and we're trying to grow that here in Washington State. That occurs in July. But in the UK, I mean, you guys have not had cetaceans in captivity for quite some time. Have kind of led the way in eliminating whales and dolphins in concrete pools. But on the flip side of that, I also know that when I worked at SeaWorld of Florida, that it was UK tourism that was, you know, the top. There was a large contingent of folks from the United Kingdom that would go to SeaWorld of Florida in particular. I think it was the largest foreign tourist block that they had show up there. So same things apply there. Don't come to SeaWorld here to see killer whales. Spread the word, attend Whale Fest, become inspired. I would love to have for some people from the UK join us at SuperPod 4, where we actually go out on the water and see the southern residents in the real world, and that's completely inspiring. What you're doing right now, video blogging, writing blogs, sharing pictures, sharing stories, trying to be a truth squad for a lot of the misinformation that a lot of the so-called captivists put out there. I mean, SeaWorld's famous for just basically spreading corporate PR talking points that aren't really based in science, and a lot of times simply just aren't true. So I think the growing awareness is a huge tool, and the United Kingdom should be proud for eliminating captivity many years ago, and you guys have a strong voice, and continue to use it, please, because the UK rules and regulations are probably tops in the world in terms of eliminating captivity and not putting up with it in your own country.
We are fairly good on that, but we've just, I don't know if you keep up, we've just re-elected another Tory for the Prime Minister, and his collective group are talking about getting rid of the fox hunting ban, which is not so great at the moment. So obviously that's a massive thing over here for all the sort of animal activists. So that is one thing that they're not really doing quite right. So, but on everything else, it's good that we don't have orcas and things like that. I was just wondering, are you going to be attending? There's a national Empty the Tanks protest or international one.
Yeah, that is on June 6th, and here's the deal for me. I had plans to go to it, but my nurse's daughter's getting married in Central Washington, and I'm going to the wedding, so it's on the same day. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to handle that. I'm definitely going to be engaged using Twitter. I know Rachel
at the wedding,
Carberry,
are you going to be sitting there like tweeting?
What's that?
Are you going to be sitting?
At least before and after the ceremony. Rachel Carberry, who started at the Tanks, is a friend of mine. She lives nearby in Seattle. I joined her last year in Seattle for the event. I'm probably just going to have to support it with my iPhone and from the wedding itself. So I will not be attending, but I wish I was. And I know that it's growing exponentially. I think she had 30 cities last year involved. I can't remember the exact number, but somewhere close to that. And she put together a great video on YouTube from people that had submitted event footage from all over the world. And I think if you do a search for that, you'll be able to find it easily on YouTube. It's a great event, a strong message, and she's actually been to Taiji, Japan, so she helps people understand the connection. And Rachel will hopefully be talking at SuperPod 4 again like she did last year, because we have a lot to learn from her and the other sea shepherds that are out doing it.
It's happening when we're in New York, and there actually isn't one in New York at all.
Is that right?
Yeah, the nearest one is Baltimore or Connecticut, but still that's quite a few hours away on the train. But I can believe it. There's a massive London one, like a huge London one happening, and I'm not even here, so I have to tune in next year. So just what are you up to at the moment then with your sort of campaigning? You still just, have you got anything sort of big in the future planned, or are you still, pumping out, spreading the word?
Yeah, well, Jett, and I just finished a chapter that was published in a book on animals and tourism. So it's kind of a scientific submission, chapter 8 in this book. It's on killer whales in captivity, and that's the first time the topic has been put into a university textbook setting. And that was followed in April by a peer-reviewed journal article that was led by Dr. Jett. He was the lead author. I was the secondary author on killer whale survival in captivity that was just published in the Journal of Marine Mammal Science. It's a peer-reviewed piece, and basically the results of the piece demonstrate that SeaWorld in particular is getting better, but killer whales in captivity are not hitting age milestones like they are in the wild. For example, only a small fraction of them reach age 15 compared to the wild, or an even smaller fraction achieve menopause, which happens with female killer whales at around the age of 40. And so, people can search by name by John Jett, PhD, and myself, Jeffrey Ventre, to find both of those. We're quite active in the, I guess you'd call us the activist community, even though none of us have a background of activism. We just continue to lend our voices and share what we saw, and are trying to do it in a scientific and evidence-based way. We try not to allow a lot of emotion into what we're doing. We try to give credit where credit is due. But simply, common sense tells most people that captivity just doesn't work too well for killer whales in particular, and the science backs that up. So I would say that we are quite active, and in fact, the four of us at Voice of the Orcas, John, Samantha, Carol, and myself, we're actually, along with Jeff Friedman at Orca Wild, are the hosts of the Superpod event. So we're quite busy just organizing the lineup of speakers and the whale watching trips, and that's coming up here in July. So I would say that all of us are very active. And plus, on top of that, I work long hours as a physician. JJ teaches. Carol has her own business, and so does Samantha. So we've all got professional careers in addition to the actions that we take in the community.
Well, that concludes my questions. I just want to say a huge thank you for not only doing this interview, but for all of you for speaking out as well, and informing people, because otherwise people's eyes are just completely closed, and you just sort of accept. Because when you're little, I would have probably gone on a trip to SeaWorld to see this massive whale that you're never going to see in the UK. But it's very, very sad when you think about it. And when we go to New York, we're actually going on a trip out into the Atlantic to see some whales and dolphins for the day.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that'll be really good. So,
awesome.
Thank you, Jeffrey, very, very much.
Yeah, thanks, Misha. I appreciate it, and thanks for calling, and thanks for getting up so early, and also for spreading the word on this topic. And if you guys ever want to come to the Superpod event, they're held the second weekend after July 4th every year. Okay. I'm sorry, they begin the second weekend after July 4th every year, and they last 1 week. So it's a big trip. But this year, for example, Dr. Ingrid Visser is going to be there, Ken Balcom, Terry Hardy, the ex-trainers in Blackfish, almost the whole cast will be there, and a lot of really smart people. So try to make it 1 year, and we'll go see some whales together.
Yeah, leave that with me, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thank you both.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.